Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Glad to be here.
Today we're going to be talking about Frank Ocean,
Yeah.
but we're going way deeper than just his music.
Right.
It's more than just the hits.
Absolutely.
We're really trying to understand why his work resonates so deeply with people and how he's kind of become more than just a musician.
Yeah, and how his work has kind of transcended, traditional music boundaries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So to guide us on this journey, we have an excerpt from Frank Ocean, the philosopher of modern music.
Ooh, very nice.
Have you had a chance to read this?
I have. Yeah, yeah. I'm really excited to dive into this piece.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And I think it's going to be a really fascinating conversation.
I think so too.
One thing that strikes me right away, when I think about Frank Ocean and kind of reading through this excerpt, is just how vulnerable he is in his music.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's almost like we're listening to his personal diary entries, set to music.
Yeah, it's like we're getting this glimpse into his innermost thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, and the excerpt uses this really beautiful analogy of his songs being like love letters, but they're not just love letters to people, right?
Right.
They're love letters to places, to moments in time,
Oh, yeah?
to feelings themselves.
Like everything he's experiencing and engaging with.
Exactly, and you really get that sense in songs like Bad Religion,
Oh, absolutely.
where
Yeah.
he's wrestling with, this unrequited love and even questioning his faith.
Right, there's so much depth and complexity in that song.
It's raw, it's
Right.
honest, it's so powerful.
Yeah, and self-control too is another one that just hits you right in the
Right.
the way he captures that push and pull of a fragile relationship,
Yeah.
the desire and the restraint.
Ugh. It gets you right
So
there.
powerful.
Yeah, and
Wow.
I think part of what makes his music so compelling is that it feels like he's inviting us into these really intimate moments of his life.
Totally.
And in doing so, maybe he's giving us permission to be more vulnerable with ourselves as listeners.
Mhm. Yeah, like he's creating this space where it's okay to be open and honest about our own experiences.
Yeah, to not shy away from the difficult emotions or the messy parts of life.
Yeah, exactly.
Another thing that really jumps out at me from the excerpt is this idea of duality.
Mm-hmm.
Like his work seems to be full of these tensions, these contradictions.
Oh, for sure.
Love and solitude, desire and restraint,
Right.
past and future.
Right.
It's like he's constantly exploring those two sides of the human experience.
I love that you bring up duality because I think it's such a key element in understanding his work.
Yeah.
And what's really fascinating to me is that this duality isn't just in the lyrics, it's woven into the music itself.
Oh, interesting.
Like if you listen to Blonde, for example, he uses a lot of pitch-shifted vocals,
Yeah.
which creates this almost disorienting effect at times.
It's trippy.
It is trippy. It's like these different versions of his voice are representing different perspectives or maybe even different parts of himself.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it adds to that feeling of duality, of being caught between these different states of being.
Yeah, you're never quite sure where you are, who's speaking, or what's real and what's imagined.
Exactly. And it all contributes to this really unique listening experience.
Definitely.
It's dreamlike, almost surreal, but at the same time, it feels so intimate and personal.
It does. I think the word dreamlike is a good one to describe it.
Yeah.
And the excerpt also mentions, how important the spaces in between the words are in his music.
The silence.
The pauses, the echoes, the silences, all of that contributes to this sense of depth and complexity.
It's true. Like, it's not just about what he's saying.
It's about how he's saying it.
It's about what he's not saying.
Yeah, it's like he understands that silence can be just as powerful as sound,
Absolutely.
that it creates space for reflection.
Yeah, for the listener to really absorb what he's conveying and maybe even, fill in the blanks with their own experiences.
Mhm. I love that idea of filling in the blanks. Like, he's trusting us as listeners to kind of be active participants in the experience of his music,
Yes,
to
exactly.
bring our own interpretations and emotions to the table.
It's almost like he's creating this dialogue between the music and the listener.
Yeah, that's cool. And this is where I think we really start to see like the philosophical depth of his work, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about romantic love or heartbreak.
Right. It goes so much deeper than that.
It's about these bigger questions, of connection,
Of time,
of meaning,
of existence.
and like the human condition as a whole.
Yeah, he's grappling with some really heavy stuff, but he does it in such a beautiful and poetic way.
He does. And, when you mentioned Blonde earlier, I immediately thought of Ivy,
Such a good song.
which kind of traces this this whole arc of a relationship,
From the beginning to the end.
from that initial spark to the eventual fading away.
Yeah.
It's so beautifully bittersweet, and it just captures something so universal about the way love evolves over time.
It really does. It's like he's bottled up that feeling of nostalgia and longing and just poured it into a song.
Ugh, it's so good. And then you have songs like Pink Plus White,
Hmm.
which grapples with even heavier themes like mortality and the transient beauty of life.
Yeah, that one always makes me think about the preciousness of time and how quickly everything can change.
It's deep stuff.
It is,
And
but he
then,
handles it with such grace and sensitivity.
yeah, it's never heavy-handed or preachy.
No, it's just honest and raw and real.
It's like he's inviting us to contemplate these big questions alongside him.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes his music so relatable.
Yeah,
He's not afraid to admit that he doesn't have all the answers.
right.
And in a way that makes us feel less alone in our own search for meaning.
I love that.
Like, it's okay to not have it all figured out.
Yeah, to be searching, to be questioning, to be constantly evolving.
Because that's what life is all about, right?
I think so.
This constant journey of self-discovery.
Yeah, and I think Frank Ocean's music is the perfect soundtrack for that journey.
I couldn't agree more.
So we've talked about vulnerability, we've talked about duality, we've talked about this philosophical depth.
Yeah, and I think all of these things are interconnected.
They are.
They all contribute to the power and the resonance of his work.
Absolutely, and they all play a part in making him the icon that he is today.
So true.
So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about his cultural impact because it's undeniable.
Yeah.
I mean, Frank Ocean is more than just a musician, right?
He's a cultural phenomenon.
He's a true icon.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that makes him so iconic, so important, is his openness about his sexuality.
You know, especially in the world of hip hop and R&B, which, let's be honest, hasn't always been the most welcoming space for LGBTQ plus artists.
Not really, no.
So his decision to come out was a watershed moment.
It was.
It challenged so many preconceived notions about what a hip hop or R&B artist could be.
Yeah.
And it paved the way for a whole generation of artists to be more open and authentic about their own identities.
Like a ripple effect.
Exactly.
And I think the way he did it was so powerful.
I agree.
You know, it wasn't a spectacle. It wasn't about grabbing headlines.
Right.
He was just woven into his music, into his art.
In this really organic and authentic way.
Yeah, like it wasn't this big announcement.
It was just part of who he was.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
It was, and it normalized it in a sense.
Yes.
You know, he showed that your sexuality doesn't have to define you as an artist,
Right.
but it can be a part of your story, a part of your art.
Without overshadowing everything else.
Right. It's not about making it your whole identity.
Yeah.
It's about integrating it into the tapestry of your work.
I love that, and I think it speaks to this larger idea of redefining what it means to be a modern artist.
Yes.
You know, you can be vulnerable, you can be innovative, and you can be socially conscious all at the same time.
And he does all those things so effortlessly.
He does, and his impact, you know, extends far beyond music.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, he's become a symbol of hope and inspiration for so many people.
Especially young people.
Yeah, particularly young people who are struggling with their own identities, who are trying to figure out where they fit in.
Like he's given them permission to be themselves.
Yeah, to embrace their individuality and to know that they're not alone.
Exactly.
And that's an incredibly powerful legacy.
It really is.
So all of this kind of leads to the big question, right?
The million-dollar question.
What is it about Frank Ocean's work that creates this lasting resonance?
Like, what is it about his music that just hits us so hard?
It's more than just listening to it, right?
Right.
It's about how it makes you feel,
Yeah, it's about what it makes you think about.
what it stirs up inside of you.
You know, the excerpt uses this brilliant analogy.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Listening to Frank Ocean is like looking into a mirror and discovering parts of yourself you didn't even know were there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like he's holding up this mirror to our souls and reflecting back these hidden depths,
Yeah.
these unspoken emotions.
That we maybe haven't even fully acknowledged to ourselves.
Exactly. And that can be uncomfortable at times, right? Sure.
Because he doesn't shy away from the darkness, from the complexities of human experience.
Right.
But there's something about the way he presents it.
With such honesty and vulnerability.
Yeah, that makes you want to lean in and confront those parts of yourself.
It's almost like he's saying it's okay to feel all of it.
The joy and the pain.
The light and the shadow.
It's all part of being human.
And I think that's incredibly validating.
Especially in a world that often tells us to suppress our emotions, to put on a brave face, to hide our true selves.
So like just keep it all bottled up inside.
Exactly, and he's saying, no, let it out.
Embrace it.
Be your full, messy, complicated self.
Yeah, and I think the excerpt's other analogy, the one about his music being like the ocean, is also really fitting.
Oh, yeah. I love that one.
What do you mean by that?
Well, think about the ocean, right?
Okay.
It's vast. It's deep.
Mysterious.
Full of mystery. And every time you dive in,
You discover something new.
exactly. It's the same with Frank Ocean's music.
Yeah. There's this incredible depth and complexity to it, and you can listen to it over and over again.
And still find new layers of meaning.
New nuances, new emotions that resonate with you in different ways at different times in your life.
And it's not just about the music itself.
Right.
It's about the space he creates for reflection,
For introspection.
for connecting with those deeper parts of ourselves.
Yes, and I think that's something that we're going to continue to explore as we dive deeper into this excerpt and into Frank Ocean's work.
Definitely. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh yeah, we've only just scratched the surface.
There's so much more to uncover.
So much more to discover.
And I can't wait to dive in.
Me neither, let's do it. It's like each song is its own world, and you can get lost in exploring it.
And it's not just about the music itself, right? It's about the space he creates.
Yeah.
For reflection, for introspection.
For connecting with those deeper parts of ourselves.
Yeah.
And he's not afraid to take his time either.
That's right. He doesn't feel the need to churn out album after album just to stay relevant.
It's not about that for him.
He's not chasing trends or trying to, fit into any predefined box.
He follows his own muse.
He does. He lets his work simmer.
Yeah.
Let it develop organically.
And that's why it feels so rich and layered
Yes.
when it finally arrived.
Like it's been marinating,
Exactly.
It's been aged like a fine wine.
And you can taste the difference.
You can.
It's clear that he's more interested in creating art that's meaningful and lasting
Yeah.
than in chasing commercial success.
Which is something to be admired in an industry
Right.
that often prioritizes the opposite.
Yeah, it's all about the numbers.
The bottom line.
The hype.
But he's not playing that game.
He's not.
He's playing by his own rules.
Setting his own standards.
And that's ultimately what makes him so inspiring.
I think so too.
He's a reminder that it's okay to be different,
Mm-hmm.
to be vulnerable, to embrace your complexities,
Yeah.
and to create art that comes from a place of true authenticity.
Your own unique voice.
Your own truth.
And that's what resonates with people.
I think so.
You can feel it in his music.
And I think he shows us that vulnerability isn't weakness.
Oh, absolutely not.
It's strength.
It takes a lot of courage.
To put yourself out there like that.
Yeah, to be so open and honest.
Especially in such a public way.
And I think he also shows us that embracing our complexities is what makes us human.
Yeah.
What makes us interesting, what makes us connect with others on a deeper level.
It's like celebrating those imperfections.
Exactly, because those imperfections are what make us unique.
I love that.
They're what make us who we are.
At the end of the day, Frank Ocean's music isn't just entertainment.
It's more than that.
It's an invitation to a journey of self-discovery.
And it's a journey that's worth taking.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Frank Ocean,
Yeah.
I want to leave you with this thought.
Okay.
What is it about his work that resonates most deeply with you?
Is it his vulnerability?
His exploration of complex themes?
Yeah.
His cultural impact?
Or maybe it's something else entirely.
Maybe it's that feeling of being seen,
Of being understood.
of knowing that you're not alone.
In your struggles and your joy.
Whatever it is, I
Yeah.
encourage you to keep exploring his music
To keep discovering those new layers.
and to keep letting it challenge and inspire you, because there's always more to uncover in the world of Frank Ocean.
It's a world worth getting lost in.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.
It's like each song is its own little world,
Yeah,
and you can get lost in exploring it.
you can. And
Okay.
he's not afraid to take his time either.
Oh, absolutely not.
He doesn't feel the need to, churn out album after album
Mm.
just to stay relevant.
He's not chasing trends.
No.
He's not trying to fit into any predefined box.
He lets his work simmer,
Yeah.
lets it develop organically.
And that's why when it finally arrives, it's just so rich and layered.
It's like it's been marinating, you know?
Exactly.
It's been aged like a fine wine.
And you can taste the difference.
It's clear that he's more interested in creating art that's meaningful and lasting than chasing commercial success.
Absolutely. And that's something to be admired
Especially
in an industry that often prioritizes the opposite.
Yeah. It's all about the numbers, the bottom line,
A hype the trends.
But he's not playing that game.
He's not. He's playing by his own rules.
Setting his own standards.
And I think that's ultimately what makes him so inspiring.
I think so too. He's a reminder that it's okay to be different, to be vulnerable, to embrace your complexities and to create art that comes from a place of true authenticity,
Yeah, to let your own unique voice shine through.
your own truth. And that's what resonates with people.
You can feel it in his music.
Yeah. And he shows us that vulnerability isn't weakness, it's strength.
100%. It takes a lot of courage to put yourself out there like that.
To be so open and honest, especially in such a public way,
And he also shows us that embracing our complexities is what makes us human,
makes this interesting.
makes us connect with others on a deeper level.
It's like celebrating those imperfections.
Exactly, because those imperfections are what make us unique. They're what make us who we are.
You know, at the end of the day, Frank Ocean's music isn't just entertainment. It's an invitation to a journey of self-discovery.
And it's a journey that's worth taking.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Frank Ocean, I want to leave you with this thought. What is it about his work that resonates most deeply with you?
Is it his vulnerability, his exploration of complex themes, his cultural impact?
Or maybe it's something else entirely. Maybe it's that feeling of being seen, of being understood, of knowing that you're not alone in your struggles and your joys.
Whatever it is, keep exploring his music.
Yeah,
Keep discovering those new layers and keep letting it challenge and inspire you.
because there's always more to uncover in the world of Frank Ocean.
It's a world worth getting lost in.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.